Hello, friends and family. Hello, hello, hello. I'm going live. I'm so excited. Yes. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? It is Friday. It's been a week. It's been a week, people. But I'm excited to have my guest today, the amazing Desmond Richardson. In solidarity to my brothers, I have on my Exonerated 5 t-shirt, Raymond Santana and everything. Hey, Zinda. So I'm excited. Hi, welcome to dannIGeeLive. We are going to get started just as soon as I bring in my guest, Mr. Desmond Richardson. Oh, and there he is. Let me see if I can try to bring him in. All right. And get right to it. Blink. Yes. I can't wait. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be great.
Hey, Danny.
Why do we always start with laughing? We always laugh when we see each other.
Because that's what it is. That's how we do it.
That's
That's how
so
we do
great.
it. Wait.
How are you? How are you?
I'm good. I just finished teaching a wonderful Zoom class that was really cute
Oh, good.
with steps on Broadway. So if anybody's interested, there are classes that are happening on steps, and
Yes.
that was really great to teach like that because I hadn't.
I'm sorry. Let me just close this one screen because I'm getting.
Okay, let me get my glasses too because I can't see.
So, hi everybody. If you're just joining us, my guest today is the amazing Desmond Richardson. Desmond and I. Our friendship goes back to actually 1990. We first met at the Black Dance Conference in Dayton, Ohio.
Good old Black Dance Conference, so good.
Company conference.
Amazing.
Saying that before you came on, it's been a heavy week. And I'm actually wearing I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm wearing my Exonerated 5 t-shirt.
Oh, wow.
I just wanted to
That's awesome.
I needed to wear it today because you're my brother. And
Yes. Thank you.
And yes,
That's how we do it.
And the arts, but just want to clear the space and just, how are you feeling? Like, yeah.
Well, thank you for that, Danny. We've had such a long relationship, and I think that we know each other so well and have shared the space, shared intimate conversations, all of those things, and about this for so many years, right? So it's a lot.
Yeah.
I will say right off the bat, people, please go out and vote.
Please.
Vote. Because we have the ability to do something and for change. And obviously it trickles from the top, and we've got to, and not blaming anybody. You can't change systemic ideas in someone's body. Either you're humble and gracious to humans, or you're not. And you're hopeful that someone can get some change, but obviously we see that that's not the case. So we're going to have to go around, we're going to have to go around the bend and try to do this a different way, meaning get out and vote, because we have the ability to change these policies, and specifically with what's going on just even today. I mean, it's crazy. So my thing is, as a Black man in America, how I grew up, and with a parent and parents that were part of the civil rights movement in Washington, D.C., and doing sit-ins, and my grandmother part of all of this that was happening in Harlem during that time, and growing up during the Harlem Renaissance. That to me is I had a lot of information, and I'm glad that I was taught a particular way, not to hate anybody, but to see what's going on, and to actually do your homework and do your research, and because they were living that was their reality.
Exactly.
And now this is our reality.
Right.
And we have had a lot of information, but until you are immersed in this thing, it's a whole nother thing. Now, I'm sure theirs was a whole nother thing, with all of that going on. And ours is more under. Yeah. So we have to, now that there are sort of building blocks in place, such as a vote,
Mm.
it's necessary to get out and do so. And let's just ring that bell real loudly,
Bring it real
that
out. Ooh.
really loudly, so that you know that people, you know, they're more moguls of African American descent. They're dollars. So those dollars translate to what you, yeah, you think you don't want it, but you do. It's consumerism. So think about that, and think about the power. I would say for all of us who are listening, think about the power that we have as a people to, and all people, to get out there and to make a difference. You know, speak to that.
And
Yeah,
that's
speak to change.
because that's actually what it's going to take.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, Black people
Sorry.
can raise a ruckus and do everything we need to do, but this is America, and it's going to take all of us to come together and speak out on this. It's time.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that you brought up your you know, growing up, your grandmother, your mom. Ooh.
Right. It's a lot, right? And then having it, you know, like we talked about all the time, right? Like you and my mom share a likeness in color and hair and things like that. And her growing up where, you know, she had a father of Caribbean descent, and look, you know, she having red hair, ginger, and freckles, and you know, people looking at her like, "What's going on here?" You're trying to assimilate because she wanted to go to college. I mean, what? So it's like,
Well,
no, I just want to, you know.
which also made me very emotional earlier this week, and just really every day, is the fact that, you know, like my mother is 72 years old, and even when I was going out for the, you know, the Women's March, and even the the Million Man March years ago, you know, she would kind of roll her eyes and shrug her shoulders, and now I get it. Like, she's 72 years old, and we are still being beat down and killed in these streets, and that just makes me so furious. And I'm just. It just makes me sad that here we still are, like, they're like you and I, like whether we're scholars or just, you know, your everyday plumber guy or just whatever it is, that there are people out here that will look at us, humans or not, on posters, hello, or not.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
But they'll just look at us, and we're still, sorry to say this, folks, we're just still niggers to them.
Basically.
Doesn't matter. Like, I recount this one, and sometimes it's not super blatant. Like, I'll be honest, I have not experienced blatant, like, in your face, been called the N-word, you know, that kind of thing. But even the little micro things that just wear on your soul every single day. And I even go back to years ago when we were in Boston touring, and I've told many people this story, with Alvin Ailey in Boston at the Wang, you know, the reception, right? I'm standing there in all my reception finery, still have on my stage makeup, glasses, bun, skinny. And I'm like, this woman comes up to me, and I'll say it was a white woman that was attending the reception. She handed me her glass and was like, please refill this for me. Actually, no, she didn't even say please.
No. Just a side put down. Yeah, like, whoop, whoop.
And I just looked
putting
at
down
her.
the glass.
Do I have on a bow tie, black pants, and a white shirt? Because that's exactly what the catering staff had on. So, and even up till, you know, even in these streets today, the microaggressions. Like, I was watching something by, I forget who it was, and oh, I know who. It was Gina Yashure, the comedian from Nigeria, right? Brilliant. And she was talking about, she and her partner were somewhere, and they were catching a train to go to her next tour stop. They were going to drive, had to take the train, and just for comfort's sake, they got comfort first class on the train.
No, why not?
As they're walking through the door, this woman says to them, "Are you lost?" I mean, if it
that's one of my
crazy,
that's one of my favorites. That's
so
one of my
funny,
favorites.
but at the same time, are you kidding me?
Well, I think as you spoke to that, Danny, it's something that one of my former stage managers, Cody Renard, who was my stage manager on Broadway for After Midnight, one of the last shows I did on Broadway, and he was on CNN this morning speaking to that sort of systemic undercurrent of, you know, these little digs and like, what, you know, because I guess we've all had that, you know, but like, as he said, we have to continuously, you just, you know, shrug it off and you keep it moving, you keep moving on.
It's hard to.
But it's very difficult. I mean, like for myself, you know, I've been traveling usually by myself, and great that I have someone to travel with me now. But before I was traveling abroad and traveling these places by myself, and I'm being the only one of color, and that's totally fine, and I'm cool with that to represent. But you know, being asked if I'm sitting in first class, can I see your ticket? No, you cannot see my ticket. So I'm good with that. I'm very clear with that. No, you can't see my ticket. Who you can ask is the you know, go ask the stewardess over there because she has a chart. So don't ask me. You can get me an orange juice. That's what you can get me. But don't ask me for my ticket. You're not going to get that. Not when I came on and I went left and the other people went right. So I'm not coming up here to like trying to sneak into a seat. That's not going to be the case. So it's not that.
Yeah, and the rooted in the DNA-ness of the thinking that we don't belong in all spaces.
Yeah.
That's absolutely not true. And that's why, you know, my boyfriend John, you know, I think maybe it's a shield that I've developed over the years because I've gotten those looks that when I go to a place, I walk right in. I don't hesitate. And maybe that's from now that I'm thinking about it. And because I feel like I belong everywhere. And I'm not going to have someone tell me that because you're a Black woman, you're not supposed to be here. And even traveling all those years with Ailey and then later on as a musician, like especially with Gloria Gaynor, hello. I mean, the diva of all disco divas. Us to be able to travel with her, just me and her, most of the time going to these other countries and me going as her de facto tour manager. We were always in first class or business.
Right.
And the looks that we would get.
Yeah.
And but here's what really pisses me off. And I'm sorry, we can move on from this in a minute. You know, once they knew who she was,
change
then it was
game.
like, oh, no, ma'am.
Yeah.
Whether I'm famous or not there should be no difference in how I'm treated. We're all equal. We're all equal. You know, celebrity aside, screw that. Sure, it helps you with certain things, getting in the clubs and everything else, but the treatment should absolutely be the same. And we would get that constantly until we feel like and I observed that.
Yeah, well, you know how we were getting it in Alvin Ailey, and there we were with, you know, and me for sure, even when Alvin was alive, being in the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater and traveling abroad, you know, most people don't know he spoke 5 languages fluently. So because he took Romance languages in college, and that's how I met Versace. That's how I met, because he spoke Italian very quickly. So he was one who I was so inspired by that. Like, oh my gosh, he speaks Spanish and he speaks French beautifully. So I was like, oh my God. But so interesting that, you know, sometimes Alvin can be real disheveled. He'd be slouching in there. You know? And I remember, you know, him coming into 61st Street, and this is when he was more ill, and the people downstairs, I think they were changing the guards, and I happened to be coming in the building at that time, and the security guards, it was a new security guard, it wasn't the same one that we were accustomed to, and this guy was like, "I'm so sorry, sir, you cannot go upstairs." And you know, Alvin was like, "I'm so sorry." So he was like, "I'm sorry." "No, sir, no. Can you wait down here? Are you going to see somebody?" Oh. And I was coming through and I heard this information. I was like, oh. And I went to the desk and Alvin just stood there, like, because I'm sure he had seen so much of this and it was so accustomed to this. So I just said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, sir. I think you have an issue. This is Alvin Ailey. This is Alvin Ailey. His name is on the outside. This is Alvin Ailey. And this is the Alvin Ailey American Dance Center." So, and he was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know." I said, "But you can't, we can't educate you. You need to educate yourself. If you're coming into an environment, educate yourself. You see this man's picture all over the place.
Right.
I'm sure they had a picture downstairs because at that time on 61st Street, they had pictures of everybody in the company downstairs and the roster. So take a look. Take a look. And also to the people in the back office, take a look. And then he's offering, would you like to go up in the elevator? Thank you so much. Yeah, he's going to go up in the elevator because he should, because he has a cane and things like that. Yes, but just that sheer like, ooh, he looks homeless. He's African American. You have to pause because all these kids, and I get he's trying to, secure all of us, but we were all having that issue with this one security person who actually was fired.
Exactly.
He was fired and he wasn't there any longer. I think he was a temp anyways, but just the sheer fact that that happened and I witnessed that, I was like, oh my God. And then in my brain, I thought, wow, this is incredible. How many times that this has happened to him? And we got into the elevator and he was so silent. Alvin was just so silent. And he was like, how are you, Desmond? I was like, I'm very well. And I wanted to say something else. And I knew, instinctually, it's not to say anything because, again, you shrug it off and you keep moving forward and you move on. So I think it's super important that people realize that, and our other white brothers and sisters realize that that's something that, unfortunately, it's here. It's something that our parents dealt with and their parents dealt with, and then you had to just realize how to move on. Now, our generation is much more diverse and much more, together. We're dating who we want to date, doing what we want to do. But that wasn't always the case back in the day. So we have to understand that it's a real conversation. And the unfortunate thing is that the conversation has not been had. And how, I guess, beautiful that now that this unnecessary and senseless murder of George Floyd happened, that we can actually, it's broaching conversations. Because for me, looking at the protesters and seeing how beautifully diverse it is a big, big thing. I'm like, wow, I was like, my heart was like, so like, oh, I had to take a moment and just like cry it out and let go, because that's really important.
To see all the diversity in the crowds and even, I try not to be too insane and crazy on social media with like my statements, but honestly, because then, you're like, I don't want to alienate somebody, but I'm sorry. No, I've been trying to be all careful, don't want to upset the status quo. But again, that's still thinking from the white gaze, because that's going to get upset. Somebody have some undercurrent of racism.
Right. Well, here's the thing is I think that's what is systematic and systemic in our culture and I mean human culture in the United States. Yeah. Because I have to say, having had the opportunity to live abroad and date other people from other countries, that to me, they don't see it that way. Like they see, oh, you're African American. Oh my God, wow. Let's have a conversation. I want to know more about you and things like that. So, but there is that other classism and other things like that that persist. It's all over the world. It's an epidemic. Okay, so I don't kid myself in that, but I do know that here in America is just something that's kind of just glazed over. I mean, any two times that you have a policeman and he shoves a 75-year-old person, knocks him down, he's bleeding from the ear, and you just keep it moving. You're keeping pushing, and someone is going on, and you're pushing this guy to stand up. No, the human thing is, y'all, let's pause. He just fell. Don't put your hands on him. You shouldn't have never pushed him to fall, and him hit his head so bad that he's bleeding out through the air. And y'all are keeping it pushing. I mean, it looked like folks were kind of just walking over him. I'm like, really?
Yeah, that was
what is
tough.
that? This is really tough. Like, are you kidding me? So the reform is so necessary.
It is.
And what about all the folks who, are biracial? Like, are we? Larissa and I were talking about that this morning. Mm-hmm. Look at Dwight's family, Dwight Rhoden's family. Yeah. The melange of people. Right. So that whole, but she said something very interesting, that there's a conversation, the way she goes there with her mom, because her mom is Jamaican
Right.
and her dad is German.
Yeah.
And you know, they love up on each other and things like that. But she said it's a totally different situation when she and her mom go out shopping, as opposed to she and her father going out shopping, and she's like, or eating or whatever, and she's just feeling the issue. And she's from Canada, so she's like, what's happening here? And in particular to her, you know, the problem, I'm sure, when they came here, you know, they're looking around, people looking around like, ooh, is that a date? So it's very interesting that I'm hopeful that those conversations are being had in the households of biracial parents, and the parents who are raising biracial kids. That they are, you know, human, and they're both of two beautiful things, whatever that combination is, and to learn about the different cultures that you are. I think that respect is really important, because if we don't have the respect, you don't have anything for anybody. And clearly we see, coming from, as I said prior, coming from the top, that there's not a compassion going on.
Oh no.
So then if there's no compassion going on, why are you in the White House? You keep it moving, keep it moving. If you're not going to do this, because right now people are not about these politics. It's a really, well, let me contradict myself. It's always going to be about politics, but I think people are wanting to connect. Obviously, we've been in a pandemic. We've been housed for like 3 to 4 months. So people want to get out and be together. And especially here in New York, you know, we like to be together. People like to go out, looking cute, looking people, all of those things. So, and I'm sure in other states as well. But it's important that compassion. And I'm really, I guess the other day, I was really hurt by seeing the non-compassion and just the optics of that. Because I know where H Street is. My family lived in DC, so I know that you chose to clear out a street, and then you're like, boop, with that, and then there were people there. How about have a conversation? And you saying you're going to go look at things. Well, go check them out. Just don't park. Boop, boop. Pepper spray, and then you park it. You keep it pressing pack across the lawn to the White House, because there were plenty of people that you could have said something to. There was an opportunity to say something to, like, listen, let's halt. I have compassion for your situation. For all of you are out here, you're not terrorists. You are people, and you have the right to protest if you are feeling some sort of way about it. Now, we already understand what this thing is about, looting. Those are people who are always going to, you know, there's always going to be those people who need to take. And you know, what is it called? Just exacerbate a situation. It's not that. That's not everybody. The idea is about what just transposed. That's what we need to concentrate on and focus on. So why are you not focusing on that?
Not at all.
But you want to vote.
He's
Not so much. No.
Chief of chaos, and I think he's enjoying this. I think it gives him ammunition. I think it riles up his base, and so we have to be just as riled up, you know, if not more so. And then, you know, I appreciate those folks that did reach out to me, my white brothers and sisters, as I call them, to say, what can I do? I mean, the first thing is, if you feel safe, if you see some shit happening, speak up.
Say something. Yeah. If you see something, say something. Yeah.
You know, someone's on their own defending themselves, and they're just kind of standing by. I just think if we all collectively, psychically can agree to just speak up, that's the first part. But, you know, we'll get there. It scares me. I mean, and I feel like we've been here. Like, look at Eric Garner. Everyone saw what that was. So my fear is that, God forbid, the repeat happens. Even though we all saw it for our own eyes, we heard the man call out for his mother, for Christ's sakes. So I'm just prayerful that like today is also the birthday of what would have been her 27th birthday, Breonna Taylor.
Breonna, right.
So it's very heavy. And I'm hopeful that this is we have each other. We have these outlets. We have the internet for good. We have,
Yeah, yeah.
and I definitely want to lean it back towards, being a Black man, being a young Black man. When did you first see Alvin? When did you, I mean, I know most of the stories, but when did you first see Alvin Ailey and look at him like, who is this Black man running this Black company? Like, when did you first become aware of Alvin Ailey?
I became aware of Alvin when I was at the High School of Performing Arts
Mm-hmm.
in New York City, the Fame School. And Penny Frank, my Jewish mom, dance mom,
Right.
had told me about, the Alvin Ailey American Dance Center. And there she said that, you should go and audition because you need, some additional education in everything. Okay. I was only coming in as hip hop and all of that stuff. And
Right.
though I had the flexibility and I could flip and all of that other stuff, but I needed that particular training. And she was teaching at Alvin Ailey, so she said you should come. And
Oh,
um, so you should come to the audition. They're having open auditions. Come, and then that's when I met Denise Jefferson, Francesca Harper's mom, and they were sitting there. And then Alvin came into the room and watched the young guys audition, and I was like, "Is that him?" Because it was such a it was like a thing. Like I always saw him like all the way over there, like like why would he be in the room? I
yeah.
wouldn't understand that. But he was sitting right in front and center, and I was looking, and I saw him looking at me intently, saying, because I'd already had a little bit of training from the High School of Performing Arts, um, and I had that desire, that passion, like I see something. Then I kept seeing all these amazing young guys of the spectrum of colors around me.
Yeah.
And we were just like, we want this. We want to be on the program.
Yeah.
And so afterwards, Alvin introduced himself to me, and he
Mhm.
says, "Young man, we have plans for you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Really? What
Wow.
plan?" I don't understand. So he said, "We have plans for you, but you're going to need to work really hard." And I said, and he said, "Is that something that you want to do here? If you were able to get a scholarship?" Because thankfully I had full scholarship. I didn't pay for a class. My mom didn't pay for any classes, but I was on their work scholarship. I answered phones. I cleaned the mirrors. I swept those floors. I did all of that. So yeah, so for me, it was tremendous because that opened our relationship up, because then every year I was trying to audition in the company when I was 16, 17. He was like, "Get in here, get in here and audition. That's okay, but we're not going to take you because you're about this
Right.
thin
Oh,
and you look like a baby." And at the time with Sarita Allen, all of our lovely Sarita's on here, with Sarita Allen and Gary Deloach and
oh,
Kevin and all of those names, when these were grown people.
grown people.
These are grown people.
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful to witness that. But I knew what I had to do, and I knew what I wanted to work towards. And thus, the whole environment right there was really strong with male dancers. I was coming from Queens, New York, and my dear friend Jamel, who's on here, Jamel was one of the first ones to take me to a dance class in Queens, New York.
And I didn't know
And
that.
yes, yeah, we grew up together in Queens. Yes, with him, Malik Yoba, all these people. We all grew up together. Peter Moore, we all in Queens. It was popping in Queens. The dance, Bernice Johnson, it was super strong. From Edgar Gardner, Amy Havens. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, Obadiah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How old were you when you finally joined the first company?
I was turning 18.
Wow.
I was turning 18. So when I got out of, because everything kind of happened really fast. Like I was I went to high school a little earlier, before my 13th birthday. So I was everything was moving at like fast pace.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I was graduating, I went into the second company of Alvin Ailey and with Sylvia Waters, and stayed there for a year. And then I did Michael Jackson's Bad video that year, and I thought I was going to just do commercial dance. I thought I was going to do that. And she was like, "You know what? that's always going to be there.
Yes.
Why don't you concentrate? And also it was a discovery because she said, think about all the people who have sacrificed for you to be here at Alvin Ailey American Dance Center. And I was like, oh, I couldn't let that just be superfluous. Oh, I'm on scholarship. Now I'm going to just jet on out. You know,
Right.
I mean, when they gave me a scholarship, I did not have to pay. That is really important that my mom didn't have to pay for something. She was already working 2 jobs. How was she going to pay for a dance class? You know what I'm saying? So how is that possible that I'm just going to now just go? So I chose when I did the bad video, and then I got the smooth criminal video, and then they were saying you got to go up to LA for the next 6 months, and I told Sylvia, and she was like, think about that. So I said, okay, so my heart is here, and I knew that I love commercial dance. I knew I love house and hip hop and all of that, but I wanted to, like, she said, focus on your dream, focus on your passion. You say you want to be like Gary Deloche, you want to be like Ralph Glenmore, you want to be in those roles, then you have to pay attention and be around that. You want to share the stage with the likes of Sarita Allen or Marilyn Banks or, these people or Donna Wood, then you have to get to work because they're doing the work. They're doing the work. You got to get to work because nobody's going to sugarcoat this for you. And if you want it, you have to go get it. And I realized then that the road was being laid open for me to go and receive it, more so than that. I just like stayed in and received. I love that part, like receiving the information from Alvin, getting into the company, him working with me for those years before he passed away, giving me tidbits, all these tidbits. And even as a young Black man in America, he was like, you need to, shine your brightest light. You're not trying to say, I'm here. Your presence alone will do it.
Right.
Learn how to walk on the stage, as he said, learn how to walk on the stage and do nothing. Then we got something.
Then we've got something. These kids.
Then we got something. Let's do that.
Can you stand still and capture an audience? Can you just walk on stage and boom?
Yeah.
You can't teach that.
Right. No, and he was adamant about that. And those of our Alvin Ailey family who's on here now, those who worked with Alvin, he was about that. He was like, that technique was really nice, but I felt absolutely nothing. And you would think you were killing it. You think you were killing it, but he was like, no.
I say this all the time. No. I mean, Desmond, so when I auditioned for that 3rd time for Alvin Ailey, just a mess. I'll tell the story really quickly. I was under the impression that they were looking for a replacement height-wise for April Berry. That's what I was told, all of the above. And so anyway, and I was up in that audition. Desmond and Donna Hash were demonstrating.
Yeah.
And so I was doing my best. I was.
You were killing it. You were in there killing it.
I was falling out of my little double pirouette. I never could turn, whatever. But I think because over the years, she knew my attack. She knew my musicality.
That presence.
That came to the room along with my faulty 2 pirouettes. I'm saying, yes, work on the technique, kids, but also dig deeper than that to bring the story, even if it is an abstract ballet, because we have a lot of those, which I love.
Yeah.
A little story percolating.
Well, I like what you said, and I like what Tassandra said. Hey, Tassandra, she said, authenticity first.
Absolutely.
That's when you drop your bag on the floor. We know. When you're going to absolutely be a beast in the room, or a beast that we don't want to work with at all, keep it moving. Pick up your bag and keep it moving, because you're going to be an impediment. So
if you're just joining in, I'm speaking to the amazing Desmond Richardson, who I had the pleasure and honor and privilege of dancing with at Alvin Ailey for. You left the company in 94.
94. Right?
Mm-hmm. Prior to that,
show my picture back there. Where's that little picture?
It's right. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So that was one of the first leading roles that I guess thanks to Dwight Roden, who is familiar with my dancing, and he choreographed the ballet Frames in 1992 on myself, Desmond, Renee Robinson, and the amazing Michael Thomas. And that really set me up with other people that then, Ulysses Dove started taking notice. And so that really, I'm so grateful for that opportunity and that moment to be a part of such a premier work and Dwight's first work with for the company. And so they start Complexions in the summer of '94. And here we are 26 years later. And I want to get to the fact that with everything that's going on, two Black men running a ballet company for 26 years, still in there fighting the good fight in one of probably the most elitist dance forms, we can say it, but you're two Black men running a ballet company. To my estimation, you all haven't gotten your appropriate due. I'm gonna just say it.
Thank you.
And Dwight is, I look at his ballets, I'm like, how?
Yeah.
How? And and it doesn't look cheap. It doesn't look, it's still thoughtful and thought-provoking, like last year's Woke. And you guys just put that out on your Complexions page. And, it's of the time.
Yeah.
Technique and the quality is high. And so as you're hiring dancers, I know you're bringing all that you learned from Alvin and around the world and your mama with you into who you choose to be in the company. I've watched it from day one. And happy to be a part of it. And so share what you tell your dancers. And I know sometimes it's a hard conversation to have with them sometimes. And I've been in the room where Dwight has to go in. Hey, Dwight. But these jobs are few and far between out here.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, these 26 years have been pretty amazing, having, as Dwight and I, we look back and we think about all these many ideas that we had, being on tour with the company and can we go downstairs? And we would pull out the chairs in like some of the cafeteria areas and like do phrases and tape it on the VHS, or the camcorder, they say on the camcorder. And to know that it continues and it exists because of this dream that actually Dwight brought to me, because it was just he and I just working together. And then he said, you know what, this idea feels like it's bigger. And I said, okay, then let's try to figure this out. Let's call a few folks. So we called like Serena, Christina, all these people to see how we can get together. And speaking to even today, like how everybody was from all various companies, because as we said before, the companies didn't mesh, right? Or we didn't get a chance to see. When you saw Ballet Uptown, or you saw Downtown Dance Contemporary, that was downtown. And then it didn't really cross. And then what do we do for those of us who could do everything? We had interest in everything. And so we were like, we wanted to be that. Like, let's bring people in the room and have a conversation through dance. Let's do that. And so from that first rehearsal, that people were in there, everybody was sweating. We rehearsed after we all had our jobs, and we came 6 to 10.
Yeah.
And nobody was getting paid. Everybody came in there and was like killing it and looking around and going, oh my God, she's on point. And oh my goodness. And that was a Jody's killing. Oh my God. It was really beautiful to watch that. So we understood. And just to segue back to Alvin Ailey, he was the one who said, you know what, try to put this idea together. Make it something, because I think it will reach out to people, right? So thus we did that, and there were so many folks that said, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, no, you shouldn't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that."
Really?
And we just so many were like, "You're gonna lose a lot of money." We had no money first. We had no money. What money?
We had 2 nickels as it was.
We had 2 nickels. I had 2 nickels. He had 2 nickels. We put them together. We made the show up at Symphony Space in 1994. And during Gay Pride, it was June 14th or something like that, I think the day was, and sold out. 3 nights, 866 seats per night. And you know how that was. It was like the energy in the room was so palpable. And now we see that that's that same energy that comes to Complexions, whether we're in New York, Poland, Russia,
Yes.
Barcelona, it's the same energy. So something about this combination that we've like figured out, the combination of people, the combination of humanness, the combination of diversity, led by two African American men. It's a beautiful thing because we all have something to say, and why not have it, say it on the floor? That's what we always say it on the floor.
I mean, that I've seen over the years, I mean, they clearly have a voice in what they're putting forth. And you guys give them the space to create, to push it to the nth degree. There's no time for holding back, from day one to today. And I'm just so thankful with all the, the shutdown and everything else that you guys are able to get your joy season in this year. Oh my God. So
the Joyce was great.
I did pin at the bottom of the screen, if you guys can see, complexionsdance.org. On that page, if you go right to their homepage, press enter, there is a call to, for support. Emergency fund support for the dancers, for the company, because we cannot, in all of this, let our dear companies go.
Yeah.
We got to move on. So the link is also in my bio. The link is at the bottom of the page. You can donate, but you can also find out information about, you guys are building more and more and more your school, the student intensives that have now shifted to online. You'll find out about the Complexions Academy.
Academy.com.
Page. So sign up for that. If you have, dancers at home that are at home and they want to sign up, they can go right to the Complexions page and figure out. Normally it's all around the country, which is amazing. You got like 7 cities now, right? 7 or 8?
Yeah, 7 cities. And we're super excited to, hopefully to come back and shift it. Like, how are we going to shift this whole thing? Because now we're in this pandemic, and it's really, it's a lot to take, but it's quite inspirational actually in this time and space that we're getting a chance to communicate and talk and see how we're going to move on, find our real home and things like that. Because as we know, New York is a little bit difficult to be so concentrated in, and that's okay. Yeah. But something you said that was really profound, and I didn't want to forget it, is that to have this idea, continue to manifest with these amazing dancers that we have from all over the world, that they hear us, they listen, and they go for broke. I'm like, that's what I say. We say all the time, kill it. But, as Ulysses Dove used to say to us, there's nothing to prove and everything to share. And that is so profound. Even now, you can't be out here just sharing a little tidbit. You got to go all out. Now and you also have to shape it, right? It can't be just like all a mess, but there's a way to shape that. So the dancers that we do hire, sure, they have their gifts. Some are leggy, some can turn, something great, but let's do it to the nth degree. So I challenge those folks like the Gia Corlises of the world, those critics who, again, that systematic underneath current of spouting negative information out incorrectly, where we're just kicking and there's no thought. So as you said before, people don't know. Dwight writes all the time. He writes, he listens to music all the time, all different types of music. That's why he has the range that he has. Yeah. So he, I would say for those journalists and things like that, do your homework. Don't spout off what you think you know. And actually pick up the phone and call a person and say, come in and watch what we are actually doing. Because just to relate like, oh, I don't want to go see them because they're just kicking the leg up, or it's just a mess. No, sweetheart, it's not just a mess. You need to get an education in the movement of what Complexions is doing. And I say that, and her name came to me really quickly because that's one of those places that we were talking about, that systematic underneath current, and we're done.
And it's not, it's snobbery.
It's snobbery, and it's, you listen, you were a dancer, you understand what was going on. That's one of those places that you need to cut it. And actually now it's cut because you're seen. You know what I'm saying? So you're seen, and I would hope that she, specifically in the dance world,
Wow.
or like the Alistair McCullough, those
Yeah.
people,
No.
you better do your homework,
Yeah.
you know, for the next grouping, because nobody's going to be accepting any of that crap
Because
that you're talking about. And you're talking about somebody's hair, New York City Ballet, or she looks like she's pregnant, or who are you talking to? Who are you talking to? No, don't talk to anybody like that. Because these people are artists. They have worked. You don't know their background. They have worked. You don't know the choreographer's background. You don't know the nth degree that they have had to struggle through. And you're going to write some little stupid thing like that.
Yeah.
You know, like, what, really? It's
Jennifer
crazy.
Ringer, that famous incident years ago with Jennifer Ringer. I think it was New York City Ballet.
Yeah, that he said that she looked like she ate too many sugar plums.
You know what?
Now, you know what? Now, she had just, first of all, she had just had a baby. She was just coming back. Okay, either she was having a baby or she was coming back from baby. And she's up on the stage. She's on the stage killing it. She's on the State Theater stage. You're in the audience watching.
You know what?
Okay.
Listen, I want to also too, because I mean, listen, you were so funny last week when you were talking to Misty, and which I love her. I just, you know, and just also too, for those that are just tuning in and maybe do not know, like Desmond Richardson is the only original African-American male dancer at ABT, the first at American Ballet Theater. We were all there opening night for Grindle. Was it called Grindle?
No, that was for Othello, and it's principal dancer because others have been a guest artist like Keith Lee and Carl Jonasant being a soloist with American Ballet Theater, and I was being told that I was going to be the first African American principal dancer since the inception of American Ballet Theater. I was like, oh wow, that's pretty amazing. But I think too, how I honored that was just to do the work.
That's right.
You know, do the work and let people show up. And so how beautiful for the conversation that I had with like Michael Kaiser, who was really the arbiter behind bringing me to American Ballet Theater, and us looking out at the audience and seeing such a diverse group of folks out there. You know, it was incredible. I'll never ever forget that.
No, I mean, I think going back to that conversation of not feeling accepted in all spaces, and the Met can be that for people. The Met can be very off-putting, and you know, you're like, ooh, ooh, you know. And so no, I mean, I remember walking to the theater to see you in Othello and seeing the people just coming in to the lobby, and I remember looking at all the normal Met audience folks, and they were kind of like,
what's happening?
Almost the same thing of like, are you lost? No, we're here to see Desmond Richardson. And I'll never forget, I wore cornrows just because. I wear cornrows in the ball game.
Cornrows. Yes, cornrows. I want
to see Desmond Richardson. And so it happened again with, you know, the
with Misty. Yeah.
And now with Misty.
Yeah.
Now she's in that audience. And it's like, yeah, we want to see ourselves. And we will come if we see ourselves.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, because I mean, there was Raven before, you know, but they were having her wear white makeup and things, you know, like lighter makeup, and she was lighter skinned. So one wouldn't be able to tell if you could see it, what Raven Wilkinson, you wouldn't be able to, well, who's that? And she was African-American descent, but she was so lovely and light that a little bit of bass, you wouldn't be able to know. But it's a beautiful time that with the social media onslaught of social media that, you know, Misty has had this opportunity, and I've known her, like we said, since we were maybe 14 or 15. So to see her trajectory coming from, you know, boys and girls school and coming through the NYCDA and doing her thing and at Debbie Allen's, and that is pretty profound, because her trajectory has been quite fast, if you will. She started at, you know, when she started, and 4 years later, she was in the company. So that's a lot. It's attributed to her work ethic, right? But it's also too that she pushed and she changed her body, or let's say like sculpted her body into the way that she wanted it to be so that people could actually take a real good look. And we so so to me it's it's really beautiful to watch her
Yeah.
trajectory and to know that she's still the same, still super humble, still vulnerable, still um willing to accept and to just open, porous. That's what I'll say. Porous is really for
Very
sure.
friendly and just so open, always giggling. I love that
Yeah,
he's always
get that
laughing.
laughter. Yeah.
Amazing person. And so, I mean, there was so much that I wanted to touch on in terms of your career, but y'all just need to Google Desmond because, listen, all the companies he's danced for, Frankfurt Ballet, around the world, also all of your Broadway, performances, Fosse, to, you did a stint with Moving Out, right? There was a quick,
I closed the show the last 8 months
right.
in the role of Tony on Broadway. And then I did the Local Love singing. That was my singing debut with singing singing Hal David and Burt Bacharach's music and working with them specifically with Dinah Krall and Elvis Costello, and it was amazing. And having Dionne Warwick as our coach, I mean, what? So that was pretty incredible. But I have to say that throughout the career, having that sort of but that all stems from the home, which was Alvin Ailey for me. Alvin was a musical theater person, let's say. And he always said to me, like, young man, if you sing, you gotta sing. If you act, you gotta act. If you read in a monologue, read the monologue. Like, and don't just like have an amalgam of things happening, because he said you gotta live a little, love a little, and lose a little.
Ooh,
and at that time, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Live a little, love a little, and lose a little. And I was like, I didn't understand that at the time, turning 18, 19, and things like that, because I hadn't experienced anything. But he said that's going to make you a fuller person and a fuller artist when you actually absorb information from out there and take it into your insides and understand, so people can understand you from the moment you do anything, from the moment you just stand there. We got it. They understand you, the energy that's pulling out from your soul. They're moving forward in the seat to gather it up, not like, oh, who's this? They look in the program like, okay, when does this finish? When does this finish? I can't.
Like, oops.
Yeah, it's like, when is this finished? Because, you have some of the folks who looking around, eyes are shifty, and then, there's no confidence. You stop it with the shifty.
What are you looking at?
What are you looking at? Look at your career, like look inside it or look out. Remember that thing where he said, break your fourth wall. Like you're looking way out. You're looking way out, and so that's absorbing and pulling people into you. Yeah. So that's magic, and that's powerful. And that presence alone, then you're able to speak volumes for the person that you're dancing for, which is the choreographer. You're allowing them to speak on your instrument or through your instrument, let's say. And your instrument has got to be on point.
It's got to be on point. It has to be. And so to that end, I know we're in, quarantine. I mean, I think the city might start easing up some things, but I'm a little nervous about that.
Right.
Are you working on anything that's coming up? I mean, I know you have your classes with Universal Ballet that are...
Yeah. Universal Ballet, we have Complexions virtual intensive that's starting next week on the 8th. And for sure, for those who want to sign up for that, that's... you go to www.complexionsacademy.com and you'll get all the information there that you need. Just doing a number of things, just really concentrating. I've been really creative in terms of like writing more, listening more to music, and like just actually looking at a lot of things too, because I haven't had an opportunity. Sometimes you catch a little something on the plane, you're like, okay, good. But actually looking at others, what they're doing, since we have this platform to look at things and educate myself. So trying to educate myself on many, many different topics and things that I have interest in for the future, because I don't always want to be dancing. I love dancing, but I love a lot of different things. And so, love to cook. I love to make things. I love to be my hands in the earth and things like that. I love landscaping, and
Oh,
I can't be doing that up in here. I don't have a backyard yet,
yeah,
but
you can as
those
well.
things are important. But I love to read those magazines, AD magazine, all of those things. Architectural Digest. I love all of that because that fuels me. And then when I'm actually teaching, I joked and said, I'm not always going to be dancing, but I think dance is in us always. And as Carmen de Lavalade said to me, you will never stop dancing because it's actually with you. So however you're going to manifest it, no, you may not be able to be on that
Right.
highest releve or that high poncho that you had
Right.
before. It's okay. You
That's,
need to do you.
yeah. Sarita said,
Yes.
"Have your
Show
pill."
me. Oh, darn it. There's in the other room.
Oh no. Well, we got 4 minutes left.
You want me to go get one?
Next time.
Next time. Next time.
Post one on your page so we know.
I will.
Uh, so
Oh, you'll be able to go to Des Art for that. They'll be on
where?
sale. Des Art.
Oh, I didn't even know about that.
Website is coming out soon. So
Oh, fantastic. So we know about that.
textiles.
I love it. I love it. I feel like even for me with this series here, because I haven't been performing as much with Sugar Bush and else, but I'm a ham. I like being on camera, but I also like learning about people and I like, just creating these moments, where we can come every Friday and just talk about stuff. And I also love learning more and more about people that I've known forever. Like I've known you forever. So it's crazy.
Well, I have to say, I wanted to say real quickly that, I so appreciated, seeing, I had a moment watching you all doing Cry. It took me back because, I know all the steps. Oh, come on. I know all the steps. I know all those steps. And the many times that I've watched you in the wings, sitting on the side and watch Renee and I've had these opportunities. And so to see these strong Black women, coming and doing this particular movement, it just spoke volumes to me. And with the younger ones too, it was just beautiful.
Yeah.
Jacqueline and all those, it was just really stunning. So thank you for sharing that with the audience, because they're seeing it as they're seeing it, right? But it took me back to when it was full. And, but you don't need to say much because it's just the beautiful presence that you guys gave it at that particular moment was awesome.
Because I almost did, and I talked to Sarita about this. I almost got hung up in, I can't do everything like I used to, or I feel fat, or I'm gonna be on screen.
Just fat.
So that, I was so trying to talk myself out of it. But I was like, no, just lend yourself to the moment and you'll be fine. And it was fine. And I was so proud.
Yeah, girl, you danced on the stages of the world in II. That's they say. So
listen, this gave me a little countdown thing, but I love that.
Yes.
I can just cut off in the moment.
Oh, right.
I want the Complexions audience to know, definitely go to their website and donate if you can. Sign up for the intensives. What else should we know about Complexions or yourself? Yeah.
Well, the thing is that just know that Complexions is here. We are continue on our dream and also to that same mission that we had since day one, which is the inclusion. This is diversity, educating ourselves and educating others about, humanity. And please go to our page and look at some of the things that you can donate to Black Lives Matter, all of those things that are happening, because we need support. Everybody needs the support right now. And if we want change, please vote and spread that loudly. Please vote. Yeah.
And for the main election, like
these
year elections,
it's these little
all
ones.
of it. It's not just about that top seat. It's all of it that makes the difference.
And all of that information is online. You can get all of that information as to where so you can understand who's doing what, look at what their are about. I think one of the people I watched a journalist today interview this guy, and he was like, you know what? I'm going to start looking at their background. Absolutely. Who are you? Who are you? Don't come up here trying to do the status quo.
Right.
I want to know who are you in the back. So let's go for it. Let's get out there and vote.
So in these last 3 seconds, complexionsdance.org, Complexions Academy. Next week, I
Dot
have the
com.
amazing Sarita Allen.
Yeah.
Thank you. And love you, Desmond.
Love you.